Hey folks, my top 10 work from remote tips video got a lot of hits, so I thought I'd do a little more information on some of the things that I do when working remote. And one of the things that actually came up as a question that a lot of people were interested in was how to eat when you work remote. Because obviously you're at home, you have basically everything in your pantry, everything in your freezer available to you, whereas at the office you don't have that. You might have some snacks, uh, and hopefully they're well stocked when you're at the office. But you don't have just food on top of food on top of food, and it can become really easy to just kind of overeat or not eat healthy, not eat intentionally when you're working remote. So I thought I'd go through kind of the my thought process when it comes to eating food while I'm working from home, and just kind of go through a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and you'll see exactly what I'm eating today. Today's not anything special. It's not a there's nothing special about what I'm eating today, but we'll kind of go through each meal, and I'll show you what I eat. The basic formula that I use is I try to do uh, maybe thirds, maybe 20%, 40%, 40%, 30, 30, 40, something like that. But I try to get a mix of uh, quick sugars, quick carbs, uh, maybe more long-term energy, either complex carbohydrates or fats, proteins, that sort of thing, and then other nutrients in there, so vegetables and that sort of thing. So there are three groups, and I'll kind of go through um, with each meal, kind of what categories are that I put each type of food into. It's not necessarily scientific, so some meals might be carb heavy, some meals might be protein heavy. It's just what I do, and it seems to work for me. And it's a as far as I can tell, it's a successful diet. And if it works for you, great. If you have something else that works for you, absolutely go for it. Everybody's metabolism is different, so do what works for you. Let's get to breakfast. So we start with some baby spinach. It can be any greens. I think the original recipe called for kale, but I like the taste of baby spinach a little bit better than kale. So this is actually frozen. We got a big package of baby spinach and and froze it. It works as long as it's light and fluffy. You get the frozen spinach from the frozen aisle, then it's all thick and packed together, and then when you thaw it, it's all uh, wilted and, in my opinion, kind of nasty. This was fresh spinach, so light, fluffy, separated out, and you can actually see. I can pick out the individual leaves. And so it still retains the taste and the structure, and it works out pretty good. So in these times when we don't know when we can actually get the smaller packages of frozen spinach, the smaller packages of fresh spinach, we can just freeze the big packages of fresh spinach, and it works out. So on top of that, we add a berry medley. Then we have oats, half an avocado, one banana, and then milk and coconut milk. So the greens and the banana kind of form a base, and then for my quick sugars, my quick carbs, we have the berries, and to a certain extent the coconut milk. There's a little bit of natural sugar in there, and of course the bananas. They're fruits. Then the kind of the longer term energy is the oats, which have some protein and some fats in them. The milk has some fats in it, and then the avocado was specifically added. That wasn't in the original recipe, but we added that specifically for the long-term fats. Yeah, so I'm going to whip this up, and then I'll be back with you guys for lunch. So I realized I forgot to mention the proportions. So it's basically a handful of the spinach, kind of a big handful of the spinach, about the same amount of berries. I kind of eyeball this, so over time I've just kind of evolved the recipe, and I know what looks good and know what works for my tastes. And then for the oats, probably about 2 tablespoons. Again, I just eyeball it. And then obviously the banana is 1 banana, and there's half an avocado. And then for the two milks, the cow's milk and the coconut milk, I go about to the 8 ounce line with the milk, maybe a little bit more, and then a little over the 16 ounce line with the coconut milk. So that's not actually 8 ounces of each, because obviously there's other stuff in there, but that kind of gives it enough liquid so that the blender can do its thing and makes the resulting smoothie the right consistency. This ends up giving the total amount of smoothie of between 32 and 40 ounces, which is just perfect for the two of us. Alright, so for lunch, I've got some leftovers from, on the left it's from last night, and on the right it's from a couple nights ago. So basically we have some pulled pork, that's the protein for this meal, and then some coleslaw, and that's kind of the other part, the extra nutrients, vegetables, foundation, that sort of thing. And then rice is, obviously the carb portion. So for this meal, we have carbs, we have protein, and then we have veggies. And then on my pulled pork, I'm going to have some barbecue sauce. It's got a little bit of sugar, so a little bit of quick energy. But this meal really isn't about the quick energy. It's more about the long-term energy to kind of, get me through the rest of the day, get me through the afternoon. And then obviously dinner will be the last meal of the day, and we'll get to that in just a minute. So for dinner, what we're going to do is we have this Hispanic themed beef that we'll cook up. We've got this the rest of this onion that we'll cook up with it, and then for veggies we have an artichoke, and then we have some rice. So for here, once again, it's a protein themed dish, but we have some vegetables to go along with it. And of course, the rice is grain, kind of some longer term energy. So once again, those three components to the meal, and this will hold us over until for the rest of the night and into tomorrow. So a couple things I wanted to add. One is that I do drink coffee throughout the day, and you can see that I spent a lot more time on breakfast than I did on the other meals. There are a couple of reasons for that. One, obviously, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Two is that the breakfast was a little bit more involved. Everything else was either heated up in the microwave or thrown in a pan, cook it up, eat it. But the third reason is that none of this really has to be all that complicated, and the breakfast is the most complicated just because it has a bunch more ingredients. Like I said, lunch was basically just throw it in the microwave. It was leftovers, and that's usually what I do for lunch. And then dinner was meat, cook it up in a pan, cook it until it's fully cooked, and everything else is pretty simple, straightforward to cook. The rice went in the rice cooker. The onion got cooked up with the meat. And the artichoke went in the oven. Pretty simple, straightforward. These things don't have to be complicated, but the important part is to have that balance to your diet. So, like I said in the intro, I like to have a balance between the quick energy, the longer kind of time release energy, and then the other nutrients, either kind of a foundation, grains, fiber, all that good stuff. But really, for me, the key is making sure that I focus on a combination of quick energy and a little bit longer term energy. Quick energy because when you eat a meal, you're hungry, and the longer term energy to keep you going even after that quick energy has worn off, so you don't have to snack as much throughout the day. Another thing that is worth pointing out is none of the things that I cooked had all that much salt in them. Salt tends to bloat you and make you feel sluggish and cause you to retain water and that sort of thing, and that's not always good. So I tend to avoid salt at all in my diet. I don't usually add salt to recipes. In fact, I didn't even own salt until I started making bread. But that's a longer story. That's a story for another video. So yeah, I hope you like this video. If you want to see more like this, leave a comment below. Hit the like button, subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this for to educate people. But if you want to support the channel or me, you can check out my website and see what I'm up to. Support the company that I work for, and just help out your neighbors. And that's really what this is all about right now. We're all in this together, and we'll all get through this together. Thanks for watching.